A superb specimen, truly.
Yo guys, what's going on, Specimen? It's a very special one today because it is the Fish Flappers final deck. Obviously, a month ago, I posted a video with like 4 different versions you could play with this, where like the last 5 or 6 cards were slightly tweaked. This is probably the most popular version on the ladder at the moment. It does seem like the way to go. So we're going to build a deck. Obviously, Portal into these Bear Witcher Adepts comes in at 14 points, but also these cards are going to gain armor because they just skip this deployability, and we can utilize the armor by self-damage in Skellige. And the Battle Trance Leader ability makes a lot of sense as well, because the Mardrome you can use off the Battle Trance Leader can be really nice on these Bear Witches because of the armor. Mardrome's going to damage by 3, which will just damage the armor, and then boost by 9. So it basically just plays as a 9-point leader. And then we get this passive as well. And there's these few Alchemy cards as well down at 4 provisions. Now, if you're playing a Portal, a lot of the time you still want to have 4 provision cards that are spell cards. And yeah, Alchemy just makes a lot of sense because we get the Rhizomes, the Golden Froths. We are also running a Spores as well. This is going to help the Vi matchup massively, and this deck can beat Vi. And I think what's great about this deck is every single game you go into, you feel like you've got a very good chance of winning. At the moment, in this current meta, you know, a lot of the games can feel like you've just got no chance, but this is a really fun deck to play in my opinion. It's very difficult to play, but hopefully I can talk you through some of the lines. We've got double Crow Messenger because we're playing Alchemy cards. It's a nice thinning tool, as well as these 2 Crow Clan Preachers. And this is where a lot of the power comes from the deck, because we're playing the Gedineth scenario, and we're looking to get this bonded ability with the Crow Clan Preachers. And then we can play these cheap Alchemy cards for lots of points. If we've got 2 Crow Clan Preachers on the board, each Alchemy card gets a +4 on it. If we've got 3, each Alchemy card gets a +6. So we're really looking for this bonded ability for sure. And that's why we're running double Crow Clan Preacher. They can at times get a little bit awkward in your hand, because if you're not playing your Gedineth, if you're not going for this bonded ability, they're just going to come in at 4 tempo, which sucks. But you still just probably want to have 2. I have experimented with playing just 1 of them and then like an extra Alchemy card, but 2's the way to go. Also, the Priest, just a money card in this deck. Fantastic synergy with the Bear Witcher Adept, because obviously the Bear Witcher Adept comes in with armor, and then the Priest is going to be damaging that card to the right. So it turns this from a 1 point per turn engine into a 2 points per turn engine. And a big issue the Priest has, if it gets removed by your opponent and you've been damaging your cards 1 for 1 each the whole game, then it kind of works against you. Whereas if you're just damaging the armor off the Bear Witcher Adept, it's a really nice engine, and it's a really nice cheap way of winning early rounds. In its 6 provisions, there are a couple of Alchemy cards. We have 1 Freya. Would love to have 2 Freyas, but there is only room for 1. And we also have the Decoction as well. Decoction just proving to be a fantastic card. Now, this is like basically exactly the same so far as the previous list, and that's what we're going to start off with. Gremist as well, really important for the Nilfgaard matchup. He's just inherently good, because even though he's just a Purify, he doesn't seem that good. You play Gremist to unlock one of your priests, for example, or remove a poison. Your opponent that's playing Nilfgaard is then must lock Gremist. So Gremist is a Purify that also demands being locked. So he's really, really good there, because while he's being locked, you can play another engine, and then you've got 2 engines on the board, and your opponent's like a lock behind your engines, if that makes sense. Whenever they're locking your card, you can just play another engine, for example. Gremist is just a really, really nice card in that sense. Also, this deck does have an Ermion. Ermion, not in love with this card, but a little bit of consistency, a little bit of thinning, because this deck can be pretty awkward of draws. But also, he is a Druid, and you've just able to pull in your Decoction, your Freya, whatever you need at that moment. Also, you can go Ermion into a Rhizome, which is then going to pull your Crow Mother like in round 2. Like, let's say if your opponent's trying to tempo pass you, Ermion into Rhizome is 8. Plus the Crow Mother makes it a 10-point play. It's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination either. In at 9, we're playing the Defender. Defender is really, really important in this deck. No Sigdriffer, which is a nice card that does work with the Defender. But the Defender is really good because it can deny tool punishes against Northern Realms, for example. Also, it's like a mini Fish Flapper in the sense that it has armor, and if it's at Berserk 6, it is going to gain 1 point of armor per turn. So it's another nice engine in combination with the Priests that you can get 2 points per turn as opposed to 1. And yeah, it's actually surprisingly good against a lot of decks that play Devotion. SK as well, rather than them having to Morkvarg. If you can time your Defender right, you can just sort of catch them off guard, and they're about to Morkvarg your Priest, but then you just put a Defender down at the last second, and it can win you quite a lot of games. In at 10, there's a Heatwave. This is another reason that Gremist can come in really useful to purify defenders, and then you can Heatwave, let's say, their Colgrim, or their Masquerade Ball is another really nice one as well. So also Crow Mother coming in at 10 visions as well. We are using a Neuromancy. A Neuromancy makes a lot of sense in this deck because the consistency can be a little bit of an issue. Also, we're really going to want to try and find Crow Mother round 1 a lot of the time. So the Neuromancy is just worth it for Portal, for Heatwave, for Geddy as well. Now, these last little provisions are sort of the cards that we weren't sure on as much. And it's quite simple. You put in one of the best cards in the game at the moment. I would expect it to get nerfed in the coming days, and that is Kadooch. When combined with double Bear Witches as well, it just is fantastic because this is a 14-point card potentially with carryover because you get the 6 heals, the Bear Witcher plays for 8 itself. Also, though, let's not forget the Bear Witcher self-damaging with this leader ability. Whenever we play a Alchemy card, we get 1 point of heal on a random card. So, yeah, it works really nicely. We're at 14 units again. Have experimented with maybe going to Mardrome. You also might just want to experiment with including like a second Golden Froth. I definitely wouldn't kick the Spores, but maybe you could try and lose the Ermion and then upgrade something else, maybe like a Preacher. But I think this is the way to go. The Ermion is pretty nice. I'm not in love with it, but honestly, like, there's times the big downside of this deck is the consistency and what you draw. Now, what you need to be careful with this deck is you really need to be conscious of what your opponent is doing, because a lot of decks you can just have this game plan that is just going to be the same every single game. But with this deck, not really the case. So, for example, against Nilfgaard, we're going to want to win round 1 and bleed round 2. Against Lippy, sometimes we're basically not going to win round 1. So sometimes you just have to accept that you're going to lose round 1, sometimes even on even. Let's say I'm going first against Lippy. I might just not play any good cards, let them Ceres, and then try and get a Heatwave off on Ceres to deny them carryover. Try and resist the bleed in round 2 and then win the short round. You can do it. So we're up against Call of Harmony, is it called? Nature's Gift. Nature's Gift, it's called. There we go. And yeah, in terms of our hand, what we don't want to do is brick these crows, but we obviously would like to find Crow Mother, which we've got. Yeah, I think against Nature's Gift, winning round 1 isn't as important. But Portal is normally the way you're going to look to win round 1 if you feel like round 1 is really important. So I think Mulligans are an awkward one with this deck, honestly. I think I like the double Priest. I would like a Defender. I think I'm just going to kick the Preacher, kick Froth, and let's keep this because we haven't bricked. I'm still, one thing I've definitely not nailed with this deck is what you're supposed to mulligan, honestly. Now, we could go for our Defender to begin with. We could a Neuromancy for Defender, especially because we've got Crow Mother in hand. And what that's going to do is it's going to stop our opponent's Rebukes just cleaning up our Priests, which, to be honest, they're probably playing Rebukes. We should not have come, apparently. So I'm actually going to go for this line of going for the Defender to begin with. We have got 1 Alchemy card in hand. So I'm thinking we can win round 1 sat behind this Defender with a couple of Priests. We can play Crow Mother, we can thin our Crows. This is our big commitment, basically, to the round, this Defender. Now, obviously, they might have a Purify. Some of these decks do run like an Ida. Looks like we're up against a Devotion Friend. We are, indeed. We saw the little deciding, so they did decide to boost something as well in their hand. And yeah, we're just going to go in with the Priest here, which on the armor, obviously, is going to play for 2 points initially. And then when this Covenant of Steel is down at 6 points, it is going to gain 1 armor per turn. So a little bit of a commitment, obviously a Neuromancy for this Defender, for sure. Now this is also a moment we would have loved to have had a Decoction, because this is quite scary, but we just want to win the round, guys. Get our engines down, and we've basically committed the Defender to try and do that, because otherwise, against, what's it called, Nature's Gift, we're just expecting Rebukes and stuff like that, right? So let's just get these Priests down in round 1 where they're going to get good value because they're just going to get rebuked in later rounds. Opponents committed quite a lot already as well, as you can see. They are kind of going for it themselves. And what we're going to do, we're going to put... Now we've got both Priests down. We've got 1 Priest hitting the Covenant. We've also got this Spores for this Hammer Dryad as well if we need it. We're going to put the Crow Mother next to a Priest. And we're also going to just flip the stratagem. And the reason that we've done this as well is because if the Crow Mother dies, we could then play this Rhizome, and then Crow Mother would come back from the graveyard. So it's another nice thing you can do with this deck with your Priests. Again, though, if our opponent does have Tool Punish, which, to be fair, they're playing Devotion, they probably don't, these Priests can be super detrimental. But what we've done is we just sacrificed our Defender to hopefully get them to stick. Now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can play Crows and we're not overfilling the row, so let's do that. And now, we do probably just want to win this round, I think. I think, like, in a long round, we should be favoured. But we kind of just want to get round control. Maybe push for the 2-0 with Geddy. They flip the Pyrotechnician. And obviously, this carryover they're getting is quite scary. I'm not going to deny that. Not ideal. Go for this. We do have priests on the board. We have druids, so this rhizome hopefully heals up our defender as opposed to the Crow Mother. But then again, the Crow Mother is going to die in a couple of turns. So maybe what we do here is we just go for our Kadooch instead. I think that seems pretty reasonable. I'm anticipating that this Bear Witch is going to get rebuked here. But we're at Adrenaline 4, which is our first time we've been able to use it. And we can threaten this Dunker, right? And then our Crow Mother's going to die and we can play the Rhizome. And it's going to get 4 extra points. So this Rhizome is going to play for 6, plus 1 heal, plus Crow Mother. So it's going to be a 7-point play. Maths, 10-point play. Maths, 11-point play. So yeah, the Bear Witch does get cleaned up. But we are going to kill Dunker to stop some of this carryover, which has been pretty disgusting. And I'm actually going to click the Bear Witcher because I'm kind of scared of another rebuke coming in. Obviously, these Treants getting boosted. I mean, it looks like we've secured the round pretty comfortably in the end. Maybe we didn't need to click. We could have tried to use this as carryover, but the defender just carried us through this one, right? I probably just didn't need to click this, right? That's probably a misplay on my part. Quite a big misplay because it's potentially up to 6 carryover, right? Now, we know our opponent got a ton of carryover. So basically our plan is try and save a Neuromancy maybe for Portal. Obviously we want to mulligan those. And we do have Druids. So we're just going to slam the Geddy, I think. Bleed. And then try and win a short run with Portal. So we're going to probably try and hold on to the Neuromancy. And this is the downside of using a Neuromancy round 1 as well, right? And we don't have an abundance of Alchemy cards. But let's just try our luck anyway. So Ermion can pull a Freya, he can pull a Decoction as well as a Rhizome or Froth. Most likely it's going to be a Decoction on a Hammer Dryad. This Spores is also a little bit awkward. We wouldn't mind holding on to this Spores in the next round, honestly. This is a slow play from our opponent. Also, another thing you can do with Ermion here, we could go Ermion into Freya, into Priest, and we've just completely cycled our Geddy in 1 turn. Now, the reason I'm not going to go for that here is because I really want this bonded ability on the Preachers. I'm valuing that quite highly here. Now, honestly, another play we can do here is, because we're probably going to play this Rhizome, we could consider just using our Leader right now. And the reason using Leader is pretty tempting is because it puts these Preachers out of the range of this Guardian plus a Rebuke. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to boost up Crow Mother. We're not scared of Tool Punish against Nature's Gift. The only way they could do it is with a random Serpent Trap. And we'd be able to see them do that, right? So, again, they're playing rather slowly. So let's just go for our Ermion. I mean, we could go Ermion Decoction. Now, let's just go for this Rhizome, right? We've got the bonded tag still. Go for the Rhizome. And then hopefully we get a good Decoction target like they're playing Hammer Dryad or something like that. That would be really nice for us. Elias comes in, and there's a few boosts there, but not that many. I mean, we could just go Ermion for Freya. And this is like another example of maybe why clicking this was incorrect, right? Because we could go for a Bear Witcher. We could also just go for Crows, though. So I guess we just do that now. We kind of want to hold on to these 2 cards, I think. Like, we don't massively want to hold on to this, but like, it's not really playing for that much value at the moment. And what we're trying to do with this bleed is we're trying to, like, if you use Leader, we're trying to get card advantage, right? And just a short round with Portal. So let's go for our Ermion. We're not going to go for the Decoction. This could be just another card we draw into. Let's just go for... I guess we just go for a Froth, right? Now let's go for Freya's Bear, which is the most points, right? 2 more points. Let's go for the Freya. We do need to hit something. Unfortunately, I've gone Super Tool, which probably isn't ideal, but I think in this matchup it's fine. Definitely something you need to be careful of, like what you're using your Mardromes on, right? Because Priest, if you play them coming at 3, you can't Mardrome your own Priest. Crow Mother's normally a good one to Mardrome, but you don't want to do it twice. This is going to be our pass now. So what we did, we committed Defender to win round 1, right? We thought, right, what's the least I can commit while winning the round? And this is what we're talking about, right? This is where all the carryover went. Our pass now. We could play the Spores for 6 points, but we're most likely up against Gord. We've managed to hold on to the Aneromancy. Now, obviously, we could have just gone all in here, spent the Aneromancy, and just gone for the 2-0. But what this means is it's just guaranteeing us a short round with Portal, which we're just going to be very, very difficult to beat. Honestly, could have just gone for the 2-0 though, right? Like, it could have happened. But I'm going for the safe option. And obviously, we've got card advantage. Lead is out as well now. Certainly need to be more careful about this sort of line of play against decks that do have that tool punish. But pretty happy with how we went, and really what this deck, I think, and maybe why I've not had the win rate I'm hoping for, like people have got much better scores in much fewer games than I've played with this deck. I think really the biggest thing you need to do with this deck is before you play your first card, work out what you're trying to achieve. Are you going to try and win round one? Do you care about winning round one? Like I say, against Lippy, if you're going first, accept you're going to lose the round on even, right? And just flip in, don't play any good cards and try and Heatwave Ceres, right? I mean, this just went perfectly, right? You can see the power of the Gedinef. We're 2 cards to the good. The Spores can just get mulliganed unless we hit Fish Flappers. Of course, we could have 2-0'd here, right? Of course we could have, but, you know, never mind. Let's ditch the Spores. Seems like a pretty winning hand, to be fair. Golden Froth can be a little bit awkward, that's why there's only 1 of them. Works well when combined with the Rhizomes and stuff, but obviously Decoction. We've got Portal is going to be just a ton of points. Let's just Decoction the F native again. I was expecting some more gold cards to be gotten from our opponent in that last round. There wasn't actually that many in the end, right? But we've got Heatwave as well for this Geese. We've also got the Grimace Purifier, right? I guess we just go for the Grimace Purifier first. And you just need to play Portal with 3 cards left, because then the timer will still go off. So we just go for the Grimace. Unfortunately, it's not next to this Golden Frost, just looking quite sad. It's a 4-point card. So maybe, basically, on reflection, what we could have done here is we could have gone for the Golden Froth last turn. Like, the points weren't that important. Portal comes in, like I say, with 3 cards left, the timer will still go off. I think I'm starting to doubt myself. Got the Heatwave, the Froth, we just win by a mile, right? Obviously, we had the 2-0 potential, but I think this was just the safer option. If they had like all the gold cards, it might not have been quite as easy. And then, yeah, the Portal still ticks. Nice. Nice and easy first game, but again, it was all about round 1. We decided, ideally, that you do want to win round 1 with this deck. It does perform a lot better. My MMR has just been awful with this deck, really. Like, honestly, guys, I've kind of been choking pretty hard last few days. Like, my scores have just been a disaster. I'll show you. Like, I've tanked my Nilfgaard so badly. So awful, really. I played so many games of it. Like, I was doing so well, right? And I've barely climbed since that last video. It's been a bit of a stink. I've been feeling a little bit worse for wear last few days. But honestly, it's nice to be recording a video. Play one more. And I'm going to record a few other decks for some videos later on in the week. Okay, so this is a good example of what I've said against Lippy, right? I was mentioning it quite a bit. We are going second, which is better. Basically, the objective for round 1 here is to Heatwave Ceres, all right? Deny all that carryover. We're not going to win the round, so don't commit good cards. If we were going first, basically what you need to do is you need to try and pass on 7, right? But obviously, if then they overtake you, you just accept that you're going to lose on even and do not commit good cards because you're going to lose on even. Don't commit that Portal. Just accept you're going to lose on even, all right? Don't try and fight it. And just don't spend good cards because at least then you can resist the bleed without really committing too much. Okay. Take a 1 mulligan with the Crow Messenger. Again, big thing you don't want to do with this deck is brick your hand. So we could obviously not draw another Crow, but we could draw the Fish Flappers. We're just going to keep it at this. Against Lippy, another thing to consider as well is not playing your... normally they want to go into all 3 rounds as well, right? So maybe you want to save a Neuromancy for round 2. Basically, you want to deny Squirrel value. So if we were to, for example, go for a Neuromancy into Crow Mother, they could Squirrel us now for the Anero, and they could also Squirrel us at the start of next round and deny Crow Mother. So what we basically want to do is not play a Crow Mother until the next round. And also, like, they're going to win this round pretty much no matter what. And giving them, like, a Squirrel they can deny our Neuromancy on when, like, tempo is not really irrelevant is a bad idea. Whereas if they Squirrel next round, they're making a 4-tempo play, which means we should be able to go in to the next round with card advantage into the 3rd round. So, yeah. Heatwave onto whatever she's called, Ceres, is basically the objective on this. Now, obviously, this Hunter is looking a little bit scary because Hunter plus a bit of damage will shut this Priest down, but they go for it. Already, what we're going to do, we're going to play the priest on this Crow Messenger because then there's only one Bloodthirst, so that gutting slash will not kill it. But these decks do sometimes run stunning blows as well. There it is. Surely they don't run two stunning blows. I mean, this is going to be ready to go anyway now, right? But I mean, we don't really have much choice on this, so we've just got to go for it. It looks like our priests are getting destroyed pretty comfortably. Yep. There it is. Now, this is like an example of where Froth kind of sucks, but also where these Bear Witches can be kind of peak. What we're going to do, though, we're going to go for the Kadooch onto a Quartermaster. I played this the wrong side, didn't I? This is me rushing, trying to get the YouTube content, but yeah, I've been playing really badly the last few days. It's honestly just been a disaster. The top 64 dream was looking so comfortable, and now it's just looking... My confidence is at an all-time low. It's a bit of a disaster, honestly. Okay, so we're just going to Heatwave Ceres. We're not going to click the Kadooch. It's carry over, right? And no reason to, but we're going to Heatwave the Ceres for sure. That was the objective for the round, right? I mean, we may as well do this. No reason not to, I guess. Again, this geezer definitely should have been sandwiched in between here. We could have been threatening a few more points. But opponent's not really in a position to pass. Okay. Opponent is in a position to pass, apparently. So we can just go down a card, I'm pretty sure, and just win this game. No worries, honestly. Like, we should just win a long round with Portal, etc. So we need 20. This is like another example of why putting this here was just trolling, right? We need 21 points. Couple of cards. So the Bear Witcher plays for basically, let's call it 14. Oh. We could go double Bear Witcher, maybe. I don't know. Plays for 11. The heal. 14. Puts us at 24. Crow Mother would be enough. Let's do that. Click. Now we're just going to Neuromancy for the Crow Mother. Like, it gives some scroll value, but we're just going to dry pass this next round, right? So, like, normally Lippy players are not going to give us the chance to do this, right? They're going to keep playing. So we managed to stay within reach. We Heatwaved Ceres, and we're down a card for the final round. I think that is absolutely fine. We've still got our Geddy, still got our Portal. We're going to have a Neuromancy as well. They can squirrel the Crow Mother on the dry pass, but yeah, I think we're in a pretty good spot here, feeling good about everything. Spores can definitely get kicked here, and we'll ditch the Froth as well. So we've got one Preacher. We're looking for a second Alchemist. Sorry, a second Druid. We're certainly looking for a Portal too, but obviously we can call that in off a Neuromancy. So no Squirrel on the dry pass either from our opponent. So Crow Mother might carry over. Obviously, opponent's going to have first say into round 3. But yeah, like, don't basically get worried about losing card advantage at times in this situation, because like our opponent passed, but like we're kind of happy with that. Like, long round, we're not getting like our Geddy or Portal Blade out. Now this last mulligan is risky, right? Because we could hit a Fish Flapper. We've already had one. We could just hit the second Flapper, right? We do have a second Druid, which is the Priest off of this Freya. So we'll just keep this. Like, most of these cards are better, right? But Spores also sucks. And there is also something else to mention about this deck. And that is Overswarming can be an issue for sure. Overswarming is definitely a bit of a stinker. So we're just going to go Portal for Fish Flappers here straight away. And the reason for that is this damage from the Hunter is pretty useless on the Adept. But also, we want them to... They want to basically curse our Covenant, and then they want to Heat Wave the Geddy, right? So if we have a few of these Fish Flappers down on the board at first, worse, but they're just going to... So if they use the Hunter, okay, they kill this geezer, fair enough. It's a pretty nice play, honestly. Not too much we could do about that. I guess you could say we could have just started off with Decoction on this Hunter. Would have got Crow Mother out of the graveyard too, so I probably did make a misplay on this one. I think let's just do it now. It's kind of trolling, right? So I actually just wasted an awful lot of points there, right? This was a pretty bad misplay from your boy. These things happen. Burner Brand comes in. So we're going to go for defender now. Some of these decks do play Igni, so there is risk of playing into Igni, but I think that the fact they've got Snowdrop means we should be fine. I do want Defender in this row, because this is where I'm going to want to put my Priest as well, right? Priest on this other Adept. The Priest. So pretty gutting that I let this Bear Witcher Adept die to this Blue Boy. It's a lot of points they got from that. Should have just taken this Decoction to begin the round. But yeah, certainly against Nilfgaard is where you can Overswarm in particular. Okay, so they actually bleed the Covenant, which is kind of surprising, honestly, because that means that they're going to have to... They can't kill it with Curse now, right? Which is exactly what we want. We want them to have to Heatwave the Covenant. Now that the Defender's here anyway, right? The Geddy's here. So yeah, normally you want to play Portal first, because then that lowers the chance that they can use Curse of Corruption on Covenant and Steel, which means they can't Heatwave Geddy if they don't. Alright. Creature comes in. Got triple flipping Rhizome, which is quite scary. Definitely not ideal. You can see the danger of Overswarming, especially against Nilfgaard Spies. Especially when you think Kadooch as well, Geddy, Portal all take up a spot. So... I think we just go for another one of these on us. Fortunately, our opponent doesn't play any spies, so we should be fine. But yeah, they're just bleeding the defender. Defender's just doing a job for us here. Now, something to note as well. If you note here, the priest actually damaged this and then it gained armor. If it's at 7, it will heal itself, so you don't lose a point. But we basically lost a point here, right? And this just comes down to me only having one of these fish flappers alive. Didn't get the most use off of the armor that we would have liked to have. But I mean, block the road for Ceres, which is interesting. How can they kill our Covenant of Steel here? Is there a way they can? So if they're to play a Bear Witcher... Basically, I'm trying to decide if we're supposed to leader it here. If they play another Bear Witcher, it's going to be down at 3 with 1 armor. A Bear Witcher wouldn't do it, but they could Gutting Slash it, right? I think let's just leader. And then, like, if they've got a Heatwave, they're forced to Heatwave the 9 as opposed to a 16, right? Obviously, I've walked straight into a Heatwave, an Igni, so get ready. Get ready for the Ignis. I think they're full anyway, right? They've just got to take a 9-point Heatwave. So, as you can see, my opponent's pass here in round 1 was just completely incorrect, right? Giving us this long round, even if we're down a card, is just going to suit us absolutely. And this matchup is much more difficult when you're going second. But our opponent also shouldn't have given us this pass, right? So this matchup, when you're going second again... Sorry, when you're going first, don't commit any good cards, except you're going to lose on even, and your objective in round 1 is just to Heatwave that Ceres. Try not to play Crow Mother, because it just gives them a really nice squirrel in round 2. Try and play Crow Mother in round 2, because they're not going to have time. Or they're not going to be able to squirrel you in round 3, because Lippy's just trying to get a short round 3 with doing that as many points as possible. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to record now a Warwick, the all-seeing deck guide with Masquerade Ball. I know. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Like the video and all that.